Welcome back to Keep It Real Boxing. This is Cypher Box. So Terence Crawford has inked a new multi-year deal with Top Rank. All right, he's signed a new deal with them, and obviously, you know, ESPN and their ESPN app. And this is basically what he had to say. I am the best fighter in the world, hands down. ESPN is the biggest brand in sports, and Top Rank is the biggest promotional company in boxing. This was a no-brainer for me and my team. All of the super fights that the world wants to see will happen. Mark my words. Like I've said before, I want all the champions in the welterweight division. Terence Brad Crawford is the world's best boxer, said Top Rank CEO Bob Arum. We will continue our ongoing campaign to establish him as one of the world's most recognizable athletes. Okay, so, you know what? A lot of people probably, over the years, I've seen loads of comments in videos and social medias when it comes to Terence Crawford that people believe that Terence Crawford should leave Bob Arum, that Bob Arum isn't the best for the likes of Terence Crawford. Some people believe that Terence Crawford should join Al Heyman and his PBC brand. Me personally, I always believe it's down to the fighter. Okay, if it works well and the fighter's happy with what's going on, then, and the way his career is being managed and pushed and driven, then, you can't really complain, in my opinion, because at the end of the day, it's his career. It's up to him what he wants to do. I don't always agree with everything Bob Arum says and does, don't get me wrong. I've been quite critical of him in the past, but look, Terence Crawford seems to trust Bob Arum. And not be funny, they've got their ESPN app, which is doing really well, so he will still get a lot of exposure. Obviously a lot of people are worried that, the fights, even myself, to be honest with you, that, all the fights with Al Heyman's top fighters like Errol, Spence, Danny Garcia, Shawn Porter, Keith Thurman, are they going to take place because he's on Bob Arum's promotional company and he's on ESPN, the ESPN app, etc., and all that sort of stuff. Look, if they really want to make the fight, they'll make the fights. It does make it a little bit difficult because Bob Arum and Al Heyman have had their history in the have had a bit of history in the past. Look, end of the day, like I said, it's down to the fighter. I can't really say yes or no if it's a good move or a bad move. I just hope that the fights can be made. He's saying that the fights will be made, etc., etc. But we all know in this game, when it comes to the top fighters going up against each other, one side always wants control over the other. We've seen it so many times over the years. So hopefully, good luck to Terence Crawford. Congratulations on his new deal and all that, of course. But I'm hoping that these fights will materialise between the top welterweights, and Terence Crawford is one of those fighters in that mix. Still got a lot to do at welterweight. Of course, his first fight, his debut for the WBO world title, which he's now holding against Jeff Horn. Look, I predicted that he was going to walk all over Jeff Horn. I think Terence Crawford is a tremendous fighter, don't get me wrong. He's proven himself at 135, undisputed at 140. He's now coming up to welterweight division and looking to do the same again that he achieved, the same thing that he achieved at 140, of course. I think he's a great fight. I love watching Terence Crawford fight. I think he's an absolute talent, in my opinion. Yeah, and if I did do pound for pound on my channel, would I consider, him the top pound for pound fighter? I can understand why a lot of people have him as the pound for pound number one. In my opinion, I have my own definition of pound for pound. That's why I don't waste my time, because everyone else's definition of pound for pound in boxing doesn't match my definition of pound for pound. So in my opinion, there are no pound for pound fighters in boxing, period. But if I can understand why people would hold him in that position at number one, if that makes sense. I am questioning his choice of his next opponent in Jose Benavidez. From what I understand, he's a 140 pounder. I don't know too much about Benavidez, I'm not going to lie. I've got to go do my research on him. I haven't watched enough of his fights. I'm not going to lie to you. But from what I understand, unless he's been fighting at 147 for all I know, but looking at his box rate, he's generally a 140 pound fighter. So, and I'm pretty sure when they had it, they obviously exchanged some words a few months ago, and he was still at 140, and he was trying to taunt and get Terence Crawford in the ring, and he was talking a lot of trash to him and stuff like that. Whether this is Terence Crawford making that fight because he wants to settle a score with Benavidez and shut him up. I would think, for me personally, I thought he would have taken on another welterweight. You know, I'm not saying it had to be Errol, Spence or anyone like that. You know, it could have been someone, you know, a credible opponent in the likes of a Lamont Peterson. You know, I think that would have been a good fight for Crawford to take next at welterweight. You know, that kind of fight, a gatekeeper, if you want to call it that. I suppose the Jesse Vargas fight would have been difficult because Jesse Vargas is now on the zone. But you get where I'm coming from on, you know, or the point I'm trying to make is that why pull up a 140 pounder, you know, when, you know, there's other welterweights out there. You don't have to fight the top welterweights, but there's plenty of gatekeepers, etc. out there to kind of help you acclimate to the weight a little bit more, you know, and take a little bit more of a test at welterweight before you start taking on the bigger names in the division. But look, I don't know whether it's because some people are accusing Terence Crawford here of cherry picking. I'm not saying that, but I'm seeing that. I saw the Boxing Boys doing a podcast on it. I don't know what their views were on it because I haven't actually had a chance to watch it, but I saw the title of the podcast and it was saying, is Terence Crawford cherry picking? So personally, I personally would have gone another way, but he's decided he's going to go with Jose Benavidez. We'll see how that materialises and what comes out of that fight. I would expect Terence Crawford to win that fight, but like I said, I still got to do my homework on Benavidez a little bit more and watch a few more of his fights to kind of gauge whether he's any kind of threat to Terence Crawford. But you know, I personally would have liked him to seen him going up against, you know, a legitimate welterweight. You know, you're in the welterweight division. You want to make a sound in the welterweight division. You know, you want to take on those bigger names at welterweight. So you want to keep fighting legitimate, natural welterweights, not fight someone who's, you know, the division below you and pull them up, because it's pretty much like fighting at 140 again for him. So I don't know. I question that decision a little bit, but doesn't take anything away from the man. You know, he's achieved a lot in his sport already. You know, unified champion at 135. Undisputed champion, lineal champion at 140. Picked up the SP Fighter of the Year, ESPN's SP Fighter of the Year, which is great to see. A lot of people considering pound for pound number one, if not pound for pound number one, but at least pound for pound number two. So, you know, Terence Crawford already up this point has done some great things with his career, and he's achieved a level of greatness already. But he's in the hottest division in boxing at the moment when it comes to the welterweight division. And you know, it's definitely the most popular division, and you know, he'll get tested, I believe, you know, in this division. You know, it'll be interesting to see, you know, if he stays undefeated and he works through the welterweights and gets to that Errol Spence Jr fight. Be interesting who comes out on top in that fight. You know, especially with Spence being the natural bigger welterweight. You know, he's more of a 154 pounder than a 147 pounder. But you know, we'll have to wait and see how this all unfolds. But there you have it. Let me know what you think of Terence Crawford re-signing a new deal with Top Rank and Bob Arum and staying on ESPN. As always, guys, like, share and subscribe. Until next time, this is Cypherbox reminding you to keep it real.